Yes, men, what is going on? Just wanted to share with you a client case study. One of my brothers, Carl Griffiths, who has been a part of Men's Inner Mastery Academy and has completed the Map to Mastery method and implemented it in his life. I wanted to bring this to you to show you his story from where he has been to where he is now. So looking at Carl's story, he was a man who was struggling with chronic stress and overthinking. We battled with health issues after being hospitalized. He was a man who was externally successful, but internally knew something was missing. He was a businessman, he was a hard working man, but he was losing confidence and self-worth. As you can see on these pictures, when he was hospitalized, he has been on quite some journey to be where he is right now on the picture on the right. So I'm now looking at the man he is today, a man who is in complete control of his life, a man who is purposeful, a man who is inspired, a man who is on a mission, who is rid of his sabotaging behaviours, his unhealthy and toxic traits, and is able to live life, stress-free, without worry, and is physically, mentally, emotionally in the best shape he has ever been, and this is in his words. If you take a look at his client's testimonial, man. So he was a man who felt broken. Now, we had just gone through a breakup. He was struggling with sleepless nights. He couldn't, we couldn't eat for days due to crippling anxiety, depression and pains that, got him in a position where he was having to, spend time in hospital. And this led Carl over the past few years to, turn into unhealthy habits, some sabotaging ways. And this was affecting his health. This was affecting his stress. This was affecting his relationship. And essentially, this led to low self-esteem, low confidence, low self-worth, and he felt broken. We felt like there was nowhere to turn and something was deeply missing in his life. And, a lot of men, we can fall into these anxiety loops where we don't know who we are anymore. We don't know why we're living and we don't know what we're doing or what direction we're moving in, which can leave us to, an array of different health conditions. So something had to change in his life. This wasn't a one-off thing. For Carl, and we realised he had cycles to break essentially, and most men, fellas, will go their whole life living in these cycles where we see the red flags, but we just keep going and going and pushing, and it ends up with men being on the knees where we can be so stressed out, we end up devastated, we end up broken, and that's exactly where Carl was. He had lost his sense of direction, his sense of identity. A man who was a businessman who had always worked and was looking to be successful in the world, but internally something was missing and he was struggling. So we knew something needed to change, and it needed to change urgently. And this is where I call it the hero's journey that a lot of men go on. We wait until we're on our knees. Essentially, we wait until we're down and out before we move and before we do something about it. And a lot of men spend the whole life never addressing this issue. You just continue to live a life that's uninspiring, and it's a life and a road to going nowhere fast, essentially, until that pain or that crisis turns into a catalyst for transformation in our lives, where we become the hero of our own story and we rise up as men. Because the pain, the stress, the worry, the anxiety, the lack of fulfillment, the feeling broken, like something's wrong with us. We know that we have to move, and we know that we can't do it on our own. So this is where, the Map to Mastery comes in. And this is a universal roadmap for personal growth, that any man can do regardless of background. And it incorporates 4 key pillars. And these 4 key pillars are power and action, awareness and thinking, feeling and compassion, and transformation and being. And basically they work at holding us up, regardless of what's happening in our life. When we look at these foundational pillars, the masculine pillars and principles, they are supporting us and holding us up in times of need, or when things are going wrong. When we're elevated in these pillars and when we're firing on all cylinders, we know our life is going to be moving in the right direction for us. So we started identifying with Carl, what pillars was it that he was maybe struggling with. If we're looking at power, it was maybe action, taking the wrong action. We're looking at awareness, didn't have control of his thought processes or his mental capacities. We look at his felt experience, his emotions, wasn't able to emotionally regulate, wasn't able to feel fun or enjoyment in his life. And then we look at transformation and being, well, this is purpose. This is what, sets a man on fire. This is the fire within him that gets him to live an inspired life. And looking at Carl, none of these were online at the time, no matter how much of a nice guy, charismatic, wanting to be better. It wasn't a case of wanting to be better, but it was a case of knowing how. And that is what a lot of men are stuck with. So we had to reauthor, his Map to Mastery method, if you like. We had to rewrite the narrative for him because the current method he was using, wasn't working. So we identified the roots and the pillars in which Carl needed to work through. What did he need to break through in order to be the man he wanted to be? What was unconscious in him, what was unresolved from his past that was leaking out into his present and that was making him fall short for where he wanted to be in the future. And we had to change that story of everything that's happened in his life. We assign new meaning to these things and we rewire the subconscious mind and, essentially create a strengthened and bulletproof nervous system for us to move through the world as men. So we then created, a clarity and an established vision, because a man without a vision is a man without meaning. A man without meaning is like a boat in the middle of the sea, not knowing what direction to turn, and simply ends up wherever he ends up, which is no way for a man to live. We need a target, we need a place to aim towards, and we move in that direction. So we got crystal clear on this with Carl. We moved him into alignment to live an inspired life, to be authentic to who he is. So he's no longer sabotaging himself, people pleasing, or doing things that simply weren't lighting him up. And we took control of his mental capacity and brought his king energy and leadership online so he could consciously create his life. So we have to deprogram, our beliefs, man. We have to deprogram, who we think we are. We need to deprogram, what we think masculinity is. And we need to go deeper into who we are as men. And by doing that, we create new paradigms, we create new perceptions, and, we align with our goals and our desires. Because looking at Carl's here, he wasn't aligned with them things. We sometimes as men never struggle to be successful, but we struggle with enjoying the success that we create. But we continuously chase success outside, thinking that's going to bring fulfillment on the inside, and that couldn't be any further from the truth. So we install new beliefs for success, for relationships, for masculinity. We understand what success means for us. We understand how we have a relationship with ourselves and how that affects how we show up in relating to the world. And we understand what it means for us individually and uniquely to be a man. So we implement, core building blocks for what masculinity means. We overcome them stresses, them compulsions, and we build a strong awareness and consciousness so we no longer fall back into old patterns and paradigms that are keeping us stuck. And we build this unshakable masculinity and confidence and self-worth that is aligned with purpose and action, that no matter what challenges come our way, we're ready to meet them head on. So let's just recap for a sec. Carl was hospitalised and was stuck in a cycle of anxiety. He knew something needed to change. He knew that, he was stressed, he was overwhelmed, he was worried, and he wasn't reaching his full potential and wasn't fulfilled in life. Fast forward a few weeks of doing this work and everything completely changed. His anxiety disappeared. Low confidence was disappeared. He overcame his stresses, his worries, and, we started to attract a new high quality life. Clear on his vision, taking the right action, inspired to be alive, opening in his heart and being able to enjoy life and having a healthy purpose and a healthy relationship with himself and with his life. So what was holding him back? Like most men, and this might speak to you men, is, we have a lack of clarity of direction, and that, has an effect on our fulfillment internally and externally, because as within, so without. Most of us are looking for that external success to fill internal, but that's the wrong way around, man. We fill up internally, we get externally what we want, which that then leads to people pleasing. We lose our sense of identity, and we're looking for that self-worth, that validation, that fulfillment from the external world. So we seek it from other people, and it ends up, that we never fill this void that we're trying to fill all the time, which then affects, our beliefs around who we are as a man, around our relationships, not understanding, our own masculine, feminine dynamics, not understanding our relationships that we're in with our partners, and not understanding how we relate to the world. So the next steps for this, man, for you to unlock and, step fully into your potential as a man, you'd have three options, fellas. You don't do anything, which, 98% of men are going to sit there saying they haven't got a problem, and they're going to sit there living an uninspired life where they're in a job they don't like, relationships that aren't fulfilled, and, doing things that simply aren't, lighting them up, which leads to stress, anxiety, overwhelm, unhealthy vices and addictions, and leads men to, down the path of going nowhere fast. Or, a lot of men try to do it on their own, that they read the self-help books, listen to the marketing gurus, do the breath work, meditation, all these practices that are out there in the world, try fasting, try to, do a little bit of counselling and therapy here and there. We try to do it on our own, and it leaves a lot of men feeling more confused, isolated, and exactly that, alone. Or you can get expert guidance, men, of men who have been there before, men who have been exactly where you are, men who can provide you with the exact map to mastery that has worked for hundreds of men so far, and would work for you also. So what's next? Book a free map to mastery call with me, where we can get, crystal clear on where you are in your life. We can create your own unique blueprint and see what areas of life you're struggling with. We create a game plan on how to get these problems solved, and you move forward with strength, with power, with purpose. And, if this is something, men, that, you're ready to be in that top percentage of men that are doing men's work and that want to get involved in this work to be the very best man that they can be, then let's get this handled, fellas. Book me a call, and let's jump on a call and create your own map to mastery for you.